control the water decides who lives and who dies. You can cut my food, you can cut my light, but when you touch my water, you threaten my life. No one should be without water in this river land of Dominica. I have a thing against mapping and Digicel. I fashion with Domlek and flow, but I'm mad and I vex and I tired with Toasco. Yes, Toasco.
Good evening, TDN listeners and viewers. Welcome to this week in interview. We got a little bit of a late start tonight, so let me first of all apologize to you because I know you make the time to be with us on this week in interview, and so I treat every one of your minutes that you spend with me as precious. So I apologize for this slightly late start. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week this week in in April. Oh my God, we're already halfway in the middle of April. It seems like 2025 is just flying along. Those of you who are regular listeners to this weekend interview, welcome back. Always appreciate you making the time to spend with me on the program, or hour and a half of this weekend interview. And if you're listening to this weekend interview for the first time this week, welcome as well. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope you like what we do, and you too can become a regular listener. Some folks listen in Dominica on DigiPlay Channel 59, RVR Jams Radio. It's an online radio station, and they collaborate with TDN and This Week in Interview Carry, This Week in Interview Live, as well as Radio Online SBE in the Toronto market. They also carry This Week in Interview Live. So good evening to you, listeners. If you listen to us through any one of those media, maybe drop a like, let the management know that you appreciate being able to get this week interview live. Also, if you're listening to me on Facebook or YouTube or any one of those other social media platforms, Instagram, give us a like, drop a comment, do the notification so you can know when we're on. That helps us because it helps us to build our audience. Because what we do on this weekend interview is really important. We try to get contemporary topics, we or even past topics, and we discuss them in a way that's relevant, that we try, that's not seeming to be a repeat of what you hear on social media or by clicking your remote or your mouse. We try to be different, bring you ideas from a different perspective. So I hope you like that. Stay tuned. We are constantly trying to tweak what we do to enhance the message, to make it more relevant to you. And also, we always appreciate your feedback when you tell us, you suggest to us topics that we can discuss. You suggest guests as well. Folks are more and more coming on to the program. They know we do wellness, and so they always come to us and say, "Well, I have this program going on. Can you help us?" So, for example, the Dominican Diaspora Expo that's being organized by our sister Maslin Edwards is carried for June 6th. Mark your calendar in Irvington, New Jersey. You have the Expo, the Dominican Diaspora Expo. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience it is. I think this one is the fourth one. And every year it grows from strength to strength. Last year was remarkable, it was tremendous. So plan to go. Information and registration if you do your own business, your service, a craft, whether it's your full-time engagement or part-time or hobby, you can get in touch with Maslin and get your table. The tables are very reasonable. There's usually a huge crowd. From the previous three experiences, that most of the vendors who come with their wares, they get all of it sold usually. And so it's an opportunity for you to introduce your products to a whole new audience, grow your business, commiserate with other Dominicans, because there's Dominican food, there's Dominican music, there's Dominican culture, there's Dominican vibe. So check it out. Also, last week, a couple of weeks ago, we had Miss Winston, Miss Anna Winston was on, and she was talking about her wellness retreat that she was organizing in Bend, Dominica. I think that was on the 13th of April. We might have to ask her to come back to tell us how it went. But her theme was make your food your medicine. It was a really interesting conversation. If you missed it, you should go back and check it out on our YouTube channel. This Week in Interview has its YouTube channel, and you should go there, check out past episodes of This Week in Interview, and you can pick up the one that I did with Miss Anna Winston, make your food your medicine. A lot of wonderful information about wellness and eating and wholesome living was shared in there. Also, if you are in Dominica, she does bread on a Friday by orders. So you can check the information out, contact her, and you can collect your bread. So tonight, I wanted to tackle something by myself. I didn't invite a guest because I consider myself to be my own, qualified enough to be my own guest, because I'm going to talk about a subject that is very, very, very dear to me, and which I have a lot of experience in, or I have spent a lot of time working in, and that is water. Uh, just for background, um, I don't know how many of you know that my formal academic training is in engineering. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, and fluids, water being a fluid, is a big part of mechanical engineering, piping, pipe works, all those things. And on top of that, when I graduated from college, I'm going to date myself. I graduated from college in 1989, and I came to Dominica to work in 1990. My first job was in construction, and I worked in construction the entire time, and I've had the privilege to work in water. As a matter of fact, the first project I did involved running a pipeline. Those of you who are from Dominica, in the north especially, a pipeline from the Picard River to the Cabrits, where we did the cruise ship berth, so that when those cruise ships come to Dominica, they can purchase water, they can fill up their tanks, because you know Dominica has the best water in the world, hands down, with minimal processing. Not, you cannot even call it processing, because most of the time in Dominica, the only thing you have to do is let the water sit, so that whatever sediment settles to the bottom, and you have really great drinking water. And everybody who has drunk water in Dominica really agrees that Dominica has the best tasting water. And so the cruise ships, when they come to Dominica, they love to fill their tanks with Dominica water. As a matter of fact, a lot of the cruise ship captains, a lot of the ship captains that come to Dominica, when they come to Dominica, they fill their personal supply of water from Dominican water that they can take on the ships with them. That's the quality of water that we have in Dominica. But anyhow, what I was saying is that in my first project in 1990, we built a pipeline from Picard to Portsmouth to the Cabrits cruise ship berth to supply water to the ships. So I had that first introduction in building water systems. Further down, I worked at Dowasco as a project engineer. We designed a lot of the projects in the Dominica Rural Water project, where we did a lot of water systems for communities that had challenges in obtaining pipe-borne water. So we did a Lapland water system, Wesley Woodfordale, we did not Bells, but Campbell. We did in Campbell. We did Gallion up by then we did Granby. Geneva Estate, built a tank up by in Geneva, supplied water down to the secondary school, Castlebrose. I was involved in a lot of the modernizing, upgrading of the water systems in Dominica, building water tanks, going up rivers. One of the most enjoyable aspects of that job is to go up Dominican rivers, all 365 rivers. I have walked most of them up all the way up to almost to the source to find places to build intake, where you take the water from the river and bring it down to the community. So really wonderful job. I love to hike. So imagine having a job where you get paid for going hiking and being up above any human activity, so you can feel free to just dip your hands in the water and drink. Yeah, so really involved in that. You can still do that in some places in Dominica. I was in Dominica in November last year. I went up in the Pocassi area looking at some water system there, and up the river Same thing, dip in the river and drink water from it because there's no human activity upstream of that. So it's safe to do that. Dominica is one of the very, very few places in the world that you can do that within close proximity. Most other places where you can, you have to really go far out into the hinterlands to be able to do that. So yeah, water is one of the blessings of Dominica. I've also built water treatment plants. I did a huge one in Massachusetts where we took water from the Taunton River, which is an area in high tide. The tide comes up, so it's not fresh water, it's not salty, it's brackish. So take that, filter reverse osmosis tanks, and we and build a pipeline, 20-mile pipeline to supply water to the nearby city of Brockton from Taunton. Um, so as I was saying, I think if I'm going to talk water, I can have a conversation, but I think I can give you information about water. Dominica is a water island, and I think I can easily be the water guy for Dominica. And so that's what I'm talking about tonight, water. But as I said, I want to bring you topics from a different point of view. So I want to look at water as an industry for Dominica. We hear the conversation about water being the next oil, that the next world war is going to be fought over water. A whole lot of opportunity, but yet still Dominica imports water. It's crazy. It's as if I were to tell you, let's let's set up a company to export ice to Alaska. You look at me like I'm crazy, right? Or let us have a company to build a beach in Anguilla. You're like, what? Anguilla has, Antigua claim they have 365 beaches. Let's go build a new beach in Antigua. That's our business model. You tell me I'm crazy. It's just as crazy to imagine that someone is saying, let's build a water bottling plant so we can export water to Dominica. But that is what's happening. Me, Paul, I see Soph saying good night. Good night, Soph. Welcome aboard. I don't know if some of our listeners, because we started about 10 past, maybe some of them may have dropped off thinking that we didn't have a program. But a lot of people catch the program on the replay. So we're talking water. And of course, we know that water is a commodity where there's no replacement for water, right? There's no replacement for water. So if you can share, maybe share that screen. I want to bring. I prepared a little slideshow. So let's show that. There's no substitute for water. Any any Most of the products you can have a substitute for that product, right? You can have a substitute for juice. If you don't like orange juice, you can drink passion fruit juice. If you don't like tennis shoes, you can wear sneak tracks. So anything. You don't like clothes, you can wear straw. But water, there's no substitute for water. Those of us who like beer like to say that when you're thirsty, nothing quenches your thirst like a nice cold beer. Still no substitute for water. So it's a perfect product. And it's available in abundance in Dominica. Dominica has 365 rivers. I know you're going to jump at me and say, no, it's not half of them are dry water. Dominica has 365 rivers, but Dominica doesn't export a single bottle of water. It's a travesty. And so I want to talk about that. You know why I want to talk about that? Because I remember when Dominica exported bananas. And I also speak with a lot of older folks who remember when Dominica was the largest producer of lime juice, lime concentrate, that you would make lime alcohol and all kind of mixers for drinks. Dominica was the largest producer of lime concentrate, lime juice. Once upon a time, we used to supply a lot of vanilla. So we cycle through these products where we are large producers of on a world stage, on a global stage. So I remember when bananas was king and Dominica prospered in the 80s, where we had farmers and we were able to teach our farmers to package the bananas in such quality, such standard that our bananas would come directly from a banana field in Castle Bruce or in Marigot or anywhere, and the next time they touch that banana, it's a shopper in the UK at their high-end stores picking up that banana to go put on their dining table, the ripe banana. That's the quality of work that we're able to train our banana farmers to do in the 80s. And I remember we used to sell bananas, and sometimes there would be so many pickup trucks and trucks lined up from the Deepwater Harbor all the way past Coco to under Canefield Cliff, just thousands of vehicles. And export, and banana was in its day, and farmers used to go to the car dealership and buy a brand new Toyota pickup or a brand new bus, and money used to flow, and Dominicans were extremely independent and proud. Folks could send their kids to school for themselves. They could get married and build their homes. There are a lot of opportunities, and bananas was riding really high. And then come WHTO, W World Trade Organization, WTO, and um, and some of the other multinational companies that started to challenge our agreement with the UK for preferential treatment for our bananas. It was preferential because, but it wasn't preferential for sub quality fruit. Our quality was good, and then that those challenges started getting traction because the American government started supporting their companies until they dismantled that preferential treatment. And so in the windwards, we could not compete with the large banana production in Latin America and some of the other places. And so our banana industry went on a decline. But the writing was on the wall that that was going to happen probably for 10 years, at least that. And we did nothing to replace that potential loss of income. Most of that happened under the administration of the United Workers' Party in the 4 years, 4.5 years that they were in power in Dominica. Although the leadership of the party and the prime minister at the time came from the banana industry, and you should have been really, really familiar with what was happening and be aware of the downturn. Nothing really was put in place to replace the revenue that was being earned uh, for the country. And now we see something similar happening where the majority of our funds for the last probably 10, 15 years have come from the CBI program, the sale of our passports. You may argue that a lot of the funds don't get to Dominica or whatever it is, but really and truly the main income earner for Dominica right now is the CBI program. But we see a number of challenges coming from the international market to the CBI, and we can just see that same cycle where our main income earner is starting to dwindle, and we should be thinking about replacing the revenue that is generated from that activity with something else. And so that is the purpose of my topic tonight, water. I am strongly suggesting that water can be Dominica's next major income earner, to develop a water industry in Dominica in earnest, that Dominica can, first of all, stop that stupidness about importing water into Dominica. That's first of all. So we should be able to, Dominicans should be drinking Dominica water, but supply, produce and process water in excess and in quantities that would allow us to export water. Uh, Dr. Alan Williams, who has studied the water situation in the Caribbean. He looked at a few markets, I think the British Virgin Islands, Antigua, Anguilla, St. Martin, and and from his estimation and from the literature, not estimation, because if you know Dr. Williams, he is a very meticulous and an accurate person. His research pointed to a water deficit of about 190 million gallons a month. 190 million gallons a month. So, by what do you mean by water deficit? The amount of water that's available for use in those islands versus what the demand is adds up to about 190 million gallons every month. And do you know that if we just take just the major water systems in Dominica. It's estimated that in a month, uh, Dominica has a surplus of 180 million gallons of water flowing into the sea every year. So even if we decided we were not going to meet the entire deficit of those markets, we were going to meet, I don't know, 25% of it. That adds up to about 50 million gallons a month. That we should easily be able to meet. And with the quality of water that we have, I think in no time we would be really the major supplier of water, and not very far, just north, just going north. And we see a lot of our other islands, their water systems, their rivers, and so on are becoming compromised. And so Dominica is sitting in an opportunity where you have a surplus of a commodity, and everybody around you has a demand for that commodity, and it's a commodity that you cannot substitute something else in its place. And so, as I said, my presentation to you tonight is to say that Dominica really should be looking to replace the revenue that is going to be lost from the CBI program. And that one of the major items we should look at, one of the areas where we have a major advantage is in water. And so that's what I'm talking about tonight, about water. I got some global stats. One of the weaknesses we do have in the Caribbean is the availability of data. I don't know why some our governments don't invest more in collecting data, because without data, how do you make decisions? How do you make modern scientific decisions? Um, so, but I'll just give you an idea of some of the numbers of what's happening on the global stage, for example. So, the uses of water can be broken down into three major sectors, right? Agriculture, industry, and domestic use. And you can see numbers there. 70% of water uses in agriculture on a global scale. Luckily for us in Dominica, and that can easily segue into food production. Luckily for us in Dominica, we get enough rain that our agricultural use of water would not be 70%. However, if we have to modernize our agricultural sector, we will have to depend on not just when it rains, but have a little more control, and then with the irrigation and whatnot. But on a global level, 70% is used in agriculture. 19% is used in industry. Again, but Dominica's industry is anemic at best, and domestic use is only 11%. So what we use for like drinking, bathing, entertainment, and so on, domestic use, what you know what you use water for, sanitary functions and so on, it's just 11%, right? Out of that, look at freshwater availability. The earth has more water than land, right? However, most of that water is in the ocean. Only 2.5% of the world's water is fresh water. And out of that 2.5%, 70% of it is frozen in the glaciers and the ice caps, although that is melting more and more, right? 30% is underground, so you have to dig a well to get it. Like in Dominica, we know that they dig in wells for geothermal. That is the intention, to bring hot water up to the surface, use it to make steam, to drive a turbine, and then reinject it. So that's groundwater, water in wells. And 1% is easily accessible surface water in rivers and lakes. If you're in Dominica, we know what we're talking about. And I have a photograph here of our beautiful freshwater lake. So 2.5% of the world's water is freshwater. Does that give you an idea of where Dominica sits right now in terms of our precious commodity of water, and if we would look at it from that perspective and really pursue it as an industry, what tremendous potential there is to that. 1% of the world's water is easily accessible. But if you're in Dominica, you know we have so much water available. Although I was talking to a geologist, and he said from studies that he looked at, Dominica has more underground water than surface water. So can you, if you can only imagine that, right? Um, Water stress and scarcity. So that is where the opportunity is, right? It's if somebody has a need and you can fill that need with a quality product, that's a business opportunity. 2.2 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water. That's from the World Health Organization 2023. It's estimated that by 2025, half of the world's population is expected to live in water stressed areas. And I mentioned earlier about some of these countries who have a water deficit. Dominica, in our part of the region, Dominica is one of the only countries that had a water surplus and that we have more water available than we need. You have the next countries that you have to go to find that it would be like Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, you know. And even then, in some of those places, the water has to be processed. But in Dominica, you almost have nothing to do. So then you add chlorine just to make sure that the water stays safe. So if somebody collects water in a container that's not exactly clean, they're protected from that. That's mostly why Hidroasco would disinfect, you know, just so you have some residual disinfection. Also, you because of animal activity or whatever in the forest, you may have some animal fecal matter or other type of organic or biological contaminants that a little bit of chlorine would take care of. But by and large, Dominica water, some crude form of filtration, a little chlorination, that's it. Whereas a lot of other water sources in other parts of the world have to have chemical to remove manganese and iron and water is what they call hard because it has calcium carbonate, and so it clogs up your pipe. So you have to take the calcium carbonate out of it, and the chemical that you use to take the calcium carbonate out of it, now you don't have to use add more chemical to remove it. So we have really good quality water, very accessible, and very little processing is required. It's over 30 countries face extreme water stress, including parts of the Middle East, North Africa, South Africa, in the US as well. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of tension on the west coast of the US for water. You have a lot of the states that go along the Colorado River, for example, where you have long established water agreements where the state upstream has can only extract a certain amount of water from the river, and then whatever they use it for, their wastewater flows back into the river, and they have to process that, and that is tightly controlled. And in the last several years, you've seen a lot of drought and lessening of the availability of water. Also, a lot of quote unquote development has caused the or capacity to retain water has greatly diminished. So the water levels are dropping, and so upstates have said, well, my quota is X amount. There's some state that say you can no longer be taking X amount because the X amount was 20% of the total volume. Now 40% is 80% of the total volume. How can you still expect to be taking that same quota, that amount of water? And so there's a lot of tension brewing around that. A lot of folks, places that are really water stressed, they are they're clamoring. They're really clamoring. Over 30 countries face extreme water stress. I'm not saying they don't have U.S. North America and U.S. in there. Not so much Canada. Canada has a lot of water, but in the U.S. We have a lot of states that are really in dire need for water. Trends and pressures. Global water use has increased by a factor of 6 over the last 100 years. Demand is expected to increase by 20 to 30%. So if we have to look at that, in the last 100 years, water use of water increased 6 times, right? That's maybe 15% in 100 years. But the expected demand, and then we're in 2025. So in the next 25 years, the expected demand is expected to increase by 20%. So whereas it took 100 years for it to multiply by 6, if we have to go by that trend, if in 25 years it's going to increase by say 30%, it means that in 75 years it will have gone up um, 3 times or even more, right? Because it's increasing, and it's like your money in the bank. As the balance goes up, the next time it's a percentage of a bigger amount, and that is due to population growth, agriculture, industry, climate change is impacting rain patterns, and also we know that there is geoengineering where there's some experiments going on with trying to cause it to rain and so on, which seems to go haywire sometimes, but interferes with the natural pattern of rainfall and dry spells and so on. So that's why we're starting to have extremes. So we have drought or we have floods. We don't have the smooth and regular transition. Right. Okay. So we're halfway here. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk specifically about developing a water industry in Dominica and what it would mean being able to identify and target water as the next major income earner from Dominica that's going to replace the CBI program. So stay tuned. Let's get a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Presented by.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Get ready for an electrifying thriller. A fearless New York attorney takes on corrupt corporate giants fighting for the powerless. Can this seasoned attorney and his team take down a monstrous company and its powerful leader? What will be the final verdict? What price will our heroes pay? Find out as you turn the pages of The Trust by Sam George. Get your copy of The Trust today from Amazon.com.
How much Dominican history do you know? Want to learn some fun facts? We have a great and fun way to test your knowledge and learn more about our history. Get your copy of Dominic Anu, Dominica in Puzzle. Fun for the whole family. Available now on Amazon.com. Visit pushpast10.com to learn more. Email us at dominicainpuzzle@gmail.com or call 877-698-9894.
A smart house run by a vengeful AI. A mute witness to an act of unspeakable evil. A breadfruit thief is haunted. A young man unwittingly creates a god. Giant crapos terrorize a community. A witch seeks revenge on her neighbors. And much more. The Piton Noir Writing Collective is thrilled to announce the release of the third book in their acclaimed anthology series, The Flying Crapo. Flying Crapo, Heroes and Monsters. Now available for purchase on Amazon.com. Get your copy today and embark on a journey filled with heroes, monsters, and the magic of the Caribbean.
Looking to promote your business and Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Okay. Also, I wanted to recognize those of you who not you sometimes just assume things. The song that we had at the beginning of the program is a song made by King Dice, Water, Water, Water. He is the 10-time winner of the Calypso King in Dominica Calypso Crown. That was a song that he wrote in honor of World Water Day a few years ago. Water, 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 water is life. You can, whoever controls water can control our lives. And so that's what we're talking about tonight, folks. Thanks for staying with us for the break. Before I jump back in, I want to encourage you, especially since summer is coming up, get your copy of the books that we have on there, Peter Noir series. On the other books, there's one by Sam Judge. Why is in the title? You lose me right now. But you saw the ad. Also, if you are doing your business and you need promotional material, all of our promotional material is done by Man's Audiovisual. Derek and his guys, they do a professional job. They will carry your event live, and they will also do post-production work and give you a really good quality memorabilia, whether you have it up on your social media page or special platform. They can give you a job that will serve you for a long time and create good memories. So check them out, flyers all the way up to full production and the carrying of live events. And of course, to all our other sponsors, if you're in the Boston metro area, Beacon Dental Health gives you a wonderful service. It is, I'm going to say Dominican owned, although the family owner, the wife is Montrealian, I believe, yes, and the husband is from Dominica, Castlebrus, Dominica. So it is a Dominican business, but not because of that. Their product is world class. Their venue can compare and compete with dental offices anywhere, and they do everything on site. From dental surgery, orthodontics, everything. They do it. So check them out. You will not be disappointed. Very, very cordial and friendly and warm staff, and a very welcoming and comfortable environment. For those of you who have fear of going to the dentist, try them out. You will find out that you have a wonderful experience. But tonight we're talking water, and I decided that I wanted to talk about water because it's an area that I'm familiar with. I've had a lot of years working with water, building water systems, water treatment systems, pipelines, everything, treating water for drinking. I've done some work in Grenada, helping to upgrade water bottling plants and so on. So it's an area that I'm very, I feel comfortable talking with. It'll be nice to talk to some other folks about it, people who use it. But in terms of having a guest, I decided to dance with myself tonight and be my own guest. I want to do more of that, maybe even not me, but have somebody come and make a presentation as well. Instead of maybe an interview, prepare a presentation, make that presentation. And then as we get questions from the audience, they can be answered. So why do you think that Dominica has not been able to successfully have a thriving water industry? Why? I mean, the Nazis were able to create Dominican coconut products, regional giant uh, of an industry, from getting copra and from local farmers, create big manufacturing soaps and body care products, and they even there's even a toothpaste plant. They still are in production. So industry is possible in Dominica. We've had Elrose Industry, who was tremendously successful in processing limes and citrus in Dominica. We had Bello, produce a lot of treats and condiments from guava and coffee and coconut cheese and all of those things. Pepper sauce from Bello, very successful. We had Benjo, who does Benjo Simas. We've had Severin McKenzie, was doing paper and cardboard boxes and products. We've had so many industries in Dominica that has been successful, been very successful. As I said, we've been able to make a go of agriculture. Why is it that in the abundance of water, we've not been able to have a successful water industry? What is it that is so challenging in Dominica? We're able to go into the mountains and plant bananas and carry those bananas down slippery, muddy slopes across rivers and get it into the UK, where it is in good enough condition that the same boxes that came from the field, just the cover is removed and they're placed on the shelves right there for the shopper to pick and bring to their homes. If we're able to do that with all of its challenges, because bananas are more fragile when you make it in that sense, because if they have long nails and you just have a little nick, when that dries, it creates a really bad blemish, well, on the skin anyway. But in terms of where you go into high-end supermarkets and they want a banana that's just smooth and clean, it's rejected, right? And we're able to do that successfully, but yet we've not been able to successfully do a water bottling plant, water export industry. Why? What if you have an opinion as to why that is? Put it in the chat. What in your opinion has kept Dominica from being able to have a successful water industry? Is it difficult? I say no. For example, I went to do some work for a water bottling plant in Grenada, and where the plant is located, you have to drive pretty much of an hour, a little more than an hour out of St. George's. And then you get off the main road and you're driving half an hour, maybe more than that, more than a mile into the mountain to get to that place where there is a water bottling plant. And they successfully bottle water and export out of Grenada. And in Dominica, we've not been able to make a go of it. Why? That's a burning question. It's not as if we don't need something, because as of right now, our major income earner, which is the CBI program, the sale of passports, that is being threatened the same way bananas are being threatened. Some of our previous crop, coffee and lime and so on, went out by the way of diseases, but our income earning activity is been challenging, and we're sitting. It's as if somebody is sitting on a mountain of gold and starving. Not because there's nobody interested in buying gold or that it's difficult to mine the gold. He's surrounded by folks with we're surrounded by thirsty countries. They're deadly thirsty. They spend money on desalination, processing to turn seawater into fresh water to drink. They, just very, very expensive and energy intensive. The quality that comes out is not as good, and the health impact of purified water and desalinated water is questionable. But we're sitting on fresh water that doesn't have to do any of those processing. A little bit of disinfection, a little bit of and bottled and sent overseas. Even bulk water could be a very viable business out of Dominica, because you know what else we have? We have very deep harbors where a ship can come in almost anywhere in Dominica, fill up with bulk water and take it to the market. What exactly has been the challenge that has prevented Dominica from being able to export water. And it's the other thing we have is forest, but forest is not as renewable because you cut a tree, it takes another 100 years to replace a tree of that size. Um, you dip your bucket in the river and you take a bucket of water, and the river, it doesn't, nobody can come there 30 seconds, 5 seconds later and know that you took a bucket of water out of the river because the river is just flowing. Almost like how they describe the pitch lake in Trinidad. They say you take, a backhoe or something with deep, pick up a bucket, a heavy bucket of tar, and it just, of asphalt, and it just refills, it just heals itself. And the supply, well, Dominica has that in the supply of water, but we've not been able to have a successful water industry. And just to give you an idea, well, I said the statistics are not as available, so I'm just going to go to the U.S. market. And of course, maybe we have to divide it by 100. Maybe the U.S. market is 100 times what would be in Dominica. But still, when you see the numbers, you'll realize that you can take two zeros off and still have quite a bit of revenue. So, for example, in the U.S., the revenue from, I hope you can see that. I don't know if I need to make it bigger. Let me know if I need to increase the size. But let me just do it anyway, just in case, if you can see that. So the revenue in the United States, U.S. bottled water market was valued at over $112 billion in 2024. Even if you say that to be 100 times what it would be in Dominica, so divided by 100, what is 112 billion? It's still a billion, right? $1 billion in 2024 if you were doing it in Dominica and doing it properly. Employment, the industry employs approximately 227,000 people directly and indirectly. Again, if you divide that by 100, you're still coming up with 22,000, right? People. 22,000 people, you have to import workers from overseas to have 22,000 people in an industry in Dominica. I mean, just game-changing numbers. That's what we're talking about. So how is that not incentive to be able to do a water industry? And international, what is it, directly with total wages and benefits reaching $10 billion in wages. Again, divided by 100, you have 100,000, dollars in wages. Is that what am I correct? 100 million, $100 million in wages. Yeah. Tax contribution. So again, replacing our revenue that we would see from the CBI, right? Demand for bottled water continues to rise, driven by health consciousness. Again, we're in Dominica, surprise, surprise, I'm in Dominica where the water, you're getting wet everywhere you go, people, but the culture has changed so much. More people only drink bottled water, or most people only drink bottled water in Dominica. So even the local demand for a water bottling plant is high, right? The demand for water continues to rise, driven by health consciousness and the desire for healthy beverage alternatives. So instead of juice and soda and those things, people drink water because that's better for diabetes and hypertension and all these other non-communicable diseases. Market expansion. The global bottled water market is projected to rise to $503 billion by 2032. What are we waiting for in Dominica? For some foreign person to come and start to become millionaires and billionaires while we just stand aside and watch our rivers go by? And you know what else? Because we don't make revenue from our water or rivers, we don't appreciate it. And so what do you see? You see a lot of projects happening in and around our rivers that is actively destroying the quality of our rivers, destroying our river capacity, because we don't make any money from it, so we don't appreciate it. So an additional benefit that we would have in having an active water industry in Dominica would be our higher value placed on our water and our rivers, and better conservation, better preservation of our water. Um, if we talk about key industry players are focusing on sustainable initiatives like eco-friendly packaging. Again, that would fit in our whole eco-tourism. We just have to find a way of making our bottles biodegradable, or maybe not bottles, but finding the container for the water to be made maybe of cardboard, something that can rot in a reasonable amount of time, so we're not contributing to the plastic problem that we have. So, folks, it's just an hour, but we can go on and on and on. Dominicans take water for granted. Okay. If our water is not totally crystal clear, we don't drink it because that is bad water. You see the water that people drink in other places, or at least they extract it to be able to do. We we wouldn't even bathe in water that's not totally clear. We wouldn't. Yeah. So we are spoiling Dominica the amount of water that we have, and luckily, Doasco has done a decent job in bringing water to the majority of Dominicans. There's a very, if any, there's a very small, minute percentage of the population in Dominica that is not within easy reach of pipe-borne water. Even if you don't have indoor plumbing, you have a standpipe next door that you can go collect water from. And even when we have hurricanes and our water system hasn't been repaired, people just go to a river, not very far, and do their washing or their or whatever it is they do, carry water for drinking, just maybe really good quality water. The the industry is that is experiencing continued growth driven by consumer demand and expanding market segments. Sustainability efforts are becoming increasingly important as consumers and industry players address environmental concerns. Bottled water markets size and share industry report, right? So that is the opportunity. That is what we are sitting on. That's what we are sitting on. We are sitting on. I need to stop sharing. Okay. We are sitting on gold. We are sitting on a major revenue earner, but we are doing nothing with it. You understand? Why? Why can't we have a successful water industry in Dominica? Water is a commodity that's in great demand in most of close by next door. And even in local in Dominica, we don't even have to start to think too much about export until we can even talk about import substitution. Dominica should not be importing a teaspoon of water, not for any purpose whatsoever. There's no purpose for water that we don't have that quality of water in Dominica. Why, why, why? Why can't we have bottled water? So let me. It's not. This is not a commercial. Okay, this is not an advertisement. But if there's anyone out there who is interested in exploring the possibility of a water bottling project. Let's say you have some land and you have a spring or you have a stream that flows through your land, and you think it's possible to do a water bottling enterprise. Call me. I can help you set it up. I can help you design it. I can help you to get in touch with people who can supply you with the equipment that you need. I can help from concept all the way to production, because I also have a number of years of experience working in manufacturing. So I would be able to help you. This and as I said, this, well, it can be advertisement if you want to say it's an advertisement, because that's what it is really. If you have water on your land, and even if the government of Dominica wishes to establish a water industry in Dominica, I think I have the experience and the expertise in being able to help them to put it together island wide with as many producers as possible as they want. We could have the same way we have bananas, with multiple farmers producing bananas. We can do a water industry with multiple water bottling facility. So if you have land and you have a spring or a stream or something running on your land and you need some advice, you just contact TDN, contact This Week in Interview, contact me directly, send me a text, an email, whatever it is. I will be able, not might, I will be able to help you to understand, first of all, what it would take to be able to set it up. And if it were a viable, I don't see why it would not be viable, but if it turns out that it's viable to be a viable option, I could help you to design your plant. I could help you to build your plant. I could help you to order your equipment, install the equipment when it comes, commission it, and help you to start up a business and be in the business of producing water and water bottling. So that's where I would leave it. Just understand from that point of view that Dominica has water, which is a gold mine, liquid gold. We should not wait. We should not wait for somebody else to come from somewhere else with, and sometimes they don't even come with money. They take the money from our local commercial banks and they start business. So we don't want to stand by and watch a foreigner, and I'm going to say it, a foreigner come to Dominica and establish a water industry and make millions out of it, and our people only get maybe some menial work at minimum wage. We should see water as an industry that belongs to Dominica and Dominicans, and we should establish a water industry where all Dominicans, every Dominican can benefit directly, either from ownership, from employment, also from the health field, everywhere. I mean, even somebody driving the truck to bring the water to the port, the port workers lifting the containers and putting them on the ship to export, or if we're doing bottled water, there's so much. And our colleges now could be training technicians and mechanics and production workers to really be working in the industry. We absolutely need to pay attention to that so that Dominicans can benefit from the inheritance that we got from our ancestors, our great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers who took this island from the colonizers, from the people who enslaved them. They took it from these people and passed it down to us. And we would be remiss to allow other people to just come and make use of it, and we haven't made use of it for ourselves. So as our revenue from CBI starts to dwindle, let's pivot. We haven't done it before. Okay, that's in the past. Let's pivot into a future where Dominicans can see a water industry be developed in Dominica. And there's no reason why we cannot have spin-offs where our college, or the Dominica State College, starts to do research in water. We need our young people to collect data on water. And all of those things can spin off from us just valuing that precious commodity that is such abundance in Dominica. Think about it. Let me hear what your comments are. Come back. This is one of the programs I would like you to come back to and listen to several times and see what you can do. Even at the very least, write a letter to Dominica News Online, to MO News, to TDN. Write a letter to the media, call in to Matt, and talk about the development of the water industry in Dominica, folks. I want to say good night. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a great remainder of your week and weekend. And happy Easter. To those of you who celebrate Easter, happy Easter. Sunday is Easter Sunday. I remember my mom because she was totally and deeply involved in the church, and Easter was a special time for her. This is Lenten season. Friday is Good Friday. Sunday is Easter Sunday. And those of you who are going to the beach, be careful, because it's not unusual for us to have vehicular accidents, fatal vehicular accidents on Easter Monday, which is beach day. I have a friend who's a constant listener, my Jamaican friend Gordia. Happy birthday to you. I'm assuming that if you're having a happy birthday, you're probably not catching this program live, but wherever you are, wish you a wonderful and a happy birthday. There was something else I wanted to mention. Anyway, let's leave it there. Let's just tell folks, as I said, to stay safe and have a wonderful remainder of your week. Good night, everyone.